When I got into this relationship, I felt like I was in an amazing place and that I had really every opportunity open to me. I had an 815 credit score. I had $25,000 in the bank in cash. I had no debt, and I had about $70,000 in a 401k. By the time I left this relationship, I had $0 to my name. I had the debt of about $30,000 for a horse trailer, about $10,000 for a truck, $8,000 for a motorcycle, and $3,000 for another. It's like $200,000 total that was lost between that and my 401k, which I also cashed out.
Coerced debt is an aspect of domestic violence that deals with the impacts of debt that abusers incur in the names of their victim through fraud or coercion.
When a survivor enters into a relationship with a partner, they don't assume the worst of their partner. They build a life together. They have community, there's trust, there's hope, and there's faith. And so an abuser will take advantage of all of those healthy and safe feelings that their victim has and turn those against them.
If we think about our own relationships, our spouses, our partners, they know everything about us. They know our social security number, they know our address, our birthday, they may know previous addresses and our mother's maiden name, and all of these identifying pieces of information that are used to validate people's identity. The abuser has all the tools to take the identity of the victim and use it to incur untold amounts of debt. An important focus of Texas Appleseed's work in the area of coerced debt has been to change laws in Texas to include both kinds of coerced debt, debts incurred through fraud where the victim didn't know about the debt, and debts through duress or coercion or abuse, so that both are recognized as identity theft to give that victim access to the kinds of remedies and rights that victims of identity theft have in Texas.
When I met David, he was charming. He was very good looking. He showed up, looked like a Texas cowboy. He was big into the rodeo community, and he had a love for team roping. We traveled all over, and we wound up eventually moving to Lubbock. At this point, I'm about 5 hours away from the Dallas area. I've been told I don't want you to have contact with your friends. You can't have communication with them, and you're going to be over here with me. He started having these odd mood swings where things would change as far as talking about money and things that he needed. He was also spending money on my credit cards, asking for cash, things like that. It would go from him being totally normal and kind and nice to intimidation, the threats. He monitored everything I did. He took away my ability to be on social media, made me delete every male friend I had. If a man even looked in my direction, there was an assumption that I had done something with him. He one day punched me in my chest like a man in a bar, having a bar fight. And my stomach was black and blue. He had punched me in my arm. My arm was black and blue, and he did threaten to kill me. And then about 20 minutes later, he looked over at me and he's like, "Hey, babe, I love you."
When you're factoring in the physical threats, the emotional abuse, and the financial abuse, it becomes extremely difficult for a person to even consider walking away from that.
David always had taken issue with me earning income, which seemed odd because he needed money. He would pick fights with me before I would go to work. He sometimes made me call out of work. The whole crux of this situation was needing to pay off debt and paying for all the things that he'd racked up. And yet it was a continuous effort to try to deter my employment.
Krystle's devastating story is the perfect example, really, of how an abuser can use very manipulative and exploitive ways to keep their victim in check.
1 in 3 Texans sometime during their life will be a victim of domestic violence. For survivors of domestic violence, 93% of them indicate that they experienced economic abuse.
What I wish people knew about financially abusive situations is that it's something that could happen to anybody. I'm an educated individual. I came from a good, normal family. I'd consider myself to be a smart person, taken advantage of by a person who was very skilled and intent on doing something.
A lot of people wonder how that happens. And I guess the easiest way I can explain it is you don't want to believe that the person that you're sharing your life with, your most intimate secrets with, is violating you and abusing you in this way.
Texas Appleseed is passionate about consumer protection and passionate about building pathways and tools for people, empowering people to be able to rebuild their lives, to protect themselves, and to be able to have opportunities to make good financial choices. Without having tools to recover from that debt, the only choices are bad choices, defaulting on loans that people are responsible for but perhaps never benefited from, having those dings on their credit, versus expending all of their personal resources towards something that really benefited an abuser and was identity theft. Our goal is to create an environment where people can have good choices that help them recover, that help them build, and that's something that just gives me a lot of hope